Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 12th of September for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you a flavour of what to expect this week for us all collectively, but please stay with me as I dive deep and give you each of the 12 zodiac signs in forensic detail. Now, late last week there was a full moon in the sign of Pisces, but it was angling to Uranus, the planet of change, and the planet of truth. And you know, if we can use that more innovative energy of Uranus as we come into this week, it would be a good thing to do. And that means being open to fresh approaches. But we can take a fresh approach to either our spiritual, emotional and psychological well-being or to our physical well-being. And it means that the available energy we do have is likely to be limited somewhat. And therefore we need to apply it to things that are really meaningful, and that means prioritizing. However, the Sun is linking brilliantly to Pluto. When they're in a trine, this can see us changing something physically in our world, but it also can trigger deep changes within us. And sometimes Pluto pushes us to change things before we're even conscious that that actually might be a good thing for us. Also, there is an opposition between Mercury and the other ruler of Pisces, Jupiter. And this is going to be going on right from now right through to the end of the month. And they're both in retrograde, and in their own way they both have an impact on travel but also ideas. So I think it's important that we stay quite grounded around our ideas and philosophies. We may find ourselves or see generally quite a lot of different viewpoints competing against one another. I know that's quite a feature of modern life, but it can be even more prevalent. But if you are journeying anywhere or you're thinking of buying a new mode of transport, it's just asking us to try to stay very realistic, keep one foot on terra firma. Now, all week, Venus and Mars are also in somewhat of a squabble. And Venus in the sign of Virgo along with the Sun, it's not its best location. It's known as being in full. And Mars is in Gemini, so what you've got is the quick ideas of Mars in Gemini competing with the rather more cautious and practical energies of Venus in Virgo, but not quite so affectionate and openly sharing of emotion. And also the quarter moon, which occurs on Saturday, reflects that square between Venus and Mars because it's in Gemini, and that can create quite a lot of frenetic energy. So we've got nervous energy washing around this week, and then we've got the physical drive of Virgo being challenged by the moon position and then Neptune. So energy a little bit sensitive, and important that if we're going through changes, the changes we're trying to achieve are achievable. And I think it's just all about slowing things down and just making sure the things we're working on are the most meaningful and important strands and not getting scattered too much. So Aquarius, your week commencing the 12th of September forecast sees the Sun and Pluto linking in an incredibly powerful way over the next 10 days. This may not manifest itself in outward developments. It could be at a very personal level. You're reflecting, sifting through various things, perhaps to do with past events. You might find yourself letting go of old grievances. You might find yourself really getting a clearer idea of your direction of travel, even if it's very personal and not necessarily something you want to articulate to others at this stage. However, as ever within astrology, you can get a completely contrasting influence which could push back on this, and that's Mercury in opposition with Jupiter. Now, both are in retrograde. If you are arranging travel plans or you're thinking about a mode of transport, then there could be a sense of optimism, or you could encounter someone who's very enthusiastic about a situation, but that very deep energy between the Sun and Pluto suggests that however much things are bubbling away at that level, some very private stuff can still be going on for you. But Neptune is in opposition with the Sun this week. When that happens, generally people's vitality is quite a lot lower. But Neptune's in house 2, your self-worth, and there could be a sense of uncertainty about that. Yet Mars is, in such a bubbly location, Gemini, your sister air sign, and that's in a square with Venus, which in the 5th, 8th house angle that they're in, that actually can be something that really stimulates a more passionate side of your nature. So if you're fortunate enough to have something going on where intimacy is working well for you, this week could be, quite an active week in that regard. But in terms of the home, emotional and family situation, which seems to be really locked in quite a frozen state, if you like, for some time, I think it's going to be December when you start to really feel that things are resolving themselves. So there still can be a sense of limitation around those areas. And by the end of this week, as there is the quarter moon, again emphasising the 5th and 8th houses, you're just being cautioned not to be too prompt or too spontaneous about spending money, because that's a classic aspect of perhaps being more speculative, just at a time when just being very mindful of the ins and outgoings in your budget is really important.